Alrighty, here we are once again relaunching the Game Changer Movement virtual living room. I don't know if that adjustment helped at all. It's very interesting because I I've been told that my voice sounds funny, so we're just trying to get word that the voice is better now. Yeah, alrighty, here you are, Carol. Yay! Hello there. Is that any better?
That's much better.
Yay! Oh, good. Well, the good news is that we weren't recording like any of that sort of gobbledygook. So now we're live and we're recording as well. And we have a woman, Pamela, who's joined us from, I guess, off of Florida. And I just love seeing the map go internationally. So I was starting to share an update, the personal update of having gotten into this car accident with my children 2 days after returning from such an amazing adventure in Europe. And what I realized from that car accident was that if I was at all like playing small or being anything but fully vested in any and every given moment in my life, and especially in this movement, I'm done with that. And then sort of today in my meditation, I also realized that another metaphor showed up, which was when I was in that car accident, there was nothing I could have done to avoid like my son getting hit, like, my son's seat getting hit by this snowplow. And then I thought to myself, like, that's a situation where there is no choice, and not so good things happen to our kids. And then I thought to myself, wow, where do we have choice? Where can we metaphorically or literally like prevent or help assist our kids, away from car accidents or from violence or from, things that we know damage their spirit. So, and of course, one of the opportunities for us with the Game Changer movement is to help our kids develop a set of alternatives that are making impact in the world and redirecting their time and energy from the violence that is currently taking up 89% of kids' popular gaming time. So I feel, if I'm gonna live through a car accident, then it's important to live fully and to kind of understand that the accidents that are preventable, which is, helping our kids take in kind of more divine sources of information and entertainment. And, when they have the opportunity to make impact, I just feel like it's our job as parents to do whatever we can to prevent the avoidable car accidents, the avoidable, kind of injuries to our kids. And so, that's where we are here in the Game Changer movement. I mean, there's so many amazing updates, and it's like a whirlwind. And I mean, Carol, you've been such an amazing integral part of them. And so maybe you can share a little bit about seeing Alexander Mars speak in Brussels and how, I don't know, like, it's just, I feel like just the world is opening up and getting ready for this energy. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that people are hearing the call.
Mm-hmm.
And it is time to get on with the divine and do the things that are going to change this planet and the evolution of humanity and the way things are going, and to where everyone wins instead of this chaotic, disruptive, non-flow situation that we have right now. And our kids, we need to look after them. as it's their earth that they're going to inherit in their
Mhm.
society, that we need to help shift now.
Yeah. Totally, and I'm also thinking about the conversation we had with Toon, who is a young game developer and designer and programmer, and I guess the follow up is that he reached out to me yesterday on Skype. I mean, yesterday was just a very powerful day in the world of the game changer movement. And yes, we are in business on Sundays, and there's not a day that something amazing doesn't happen with regard to this movement. And he reached out on his own kind of volition, and he asked for backup information so that he could do his own diligence about what the effect of violence is having on the next generation. And I was just so encouraged to hear him ask for that, and open his thinking to allow that in. And so I'm grateful once again for your reaching out to them and engaging his mom in the conversation as well, because yeah.
Very dynamic family, very, very smart people, physicists, and she's a very smart, I think she's a chemist, and they just let their children do their thing. And it's wonderful that he, in being a coder, could hear your message and come back at you. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and I feel like it just reinforces, my and our belief that kids are born with their own kind of code, ready to be reinforced and ready for us to ask, what it is and learn from our kids. And it's a really exciting time when families rally around the gifts that are embedded in the next generation. And so I'm really taking that in, and I celebrate that in my own family, and I'm just really excited about how this collaboration is growing. And so I mean, each day we take steps forward, and so I'm excited about it. But also, like, the topic that I chose for today is more about parenting and about being a child in this very dynamic time that we live in. And I think just the idea of changing our mind, and Toon was a perfect opportunity. Like, I'm going to continue to send him information, and he currently programs violence into some gaming scenarios, and he may with enough information change his mind. And so I guess it's one of the things that I'm learning, is that I'm stubborn in many ways. So like, I just, I get a feeling, and I know what's right. I'm a Taurus, and I have very defined feelings, and I don't necessarily need data or empirical research to guide my opinions. I just have a very strong internal guidance system. And whenever I get on my stubborn soapbox, like, it's really hard to get me off of it. And data doesn't always help, but I'm also understanding that data for some people does help. And I think that's where I'm softening. So I guess I'm just kind of curious, like, how does change happen in your household? And like, I mean, maybe we can talk about how, like, how to create change-making processes so that everyone feels buy-in. So I don't know, what's it like for you?
Well, for me tonight, as you were talking about next steps, I was observing how my son went to a party Friday night and actually danced instead of spending his time on a game, or and engaged his body and enjoyed it. And I mean, wouldn't it be great to have like a global dance room through the computers? What a fun thing that could be, where you can just jam out with a lot of people and dance.
Right.
And again, tonight he did trampolining, which is a godsend, because he's not on this contraption all the time. And I see a difference in his way of communicating. It's not as abrupt and snappy. He's more centered and present because he's
Wow.
been away from the screen for a while. So that was a nice.
Well, and I think it's a double gift of, you know, when you engage the body, you know, it's definitely a way to. I was I was taking in different content about, you know, how men and women, you know, operate in the world, and sometimes men need to take their day and kind of decompress it through the body, you know, rather than just talking, like, you know. Yeah, you know what I mean? And so sometimes it's like, you know, I need to spend a half an hour decompressing on a trampoline before I can actually talk to another human being. I mean, for me, it's splitting wood. You know, if I need to get some energy out and through without hurting another human, I need to go and split wood and just get my body, you know, that energy out, you know, before I engage on a human level. And so it's great to hear that Jack has those outlets and that he's choosing them, you know, and I feel like it's our job as parents to like support that and to like rally around those choices. And also, like, in the technology world, like we can work with people who make wearable technology that can, you know, document how you're, you know, tumbling, you know, and how you're, you know, even, I mean, there's like dance software, or like there's this stuff called Kinect, which is, I guess, first powered by Microsoft, which can help people dance better if they have, you know, goals of dancing better. So, I mean, like, there's so many different ways to get out of technology, but to also allow technology back in. Wow. So, so there's a person asking for a seat, and we don't normally grant seats unless you know, you want to talk about what it means to make change in your household, or you want to be part of the theme of today's conversation. So, Jimenez, if you want to share your insight on the right side, please let us know how you want to take part in the conversation. So all that being said, you know, when you change your mind, or like when somebody in your family changes your mind, how is that received?
We all discuss our views, and sometimes there's the odd man out, who's not happy with the deal. Mm-hmm. But most of the times, we pretty much decide what is the moral thing, or the most true thing that will help us get to the better place. Mm-hmm. That's usually our deduction. What is the best choice for this path that we're trying to navigate? Mm-hmm. And then we all sort of weigh in, and sometimes it'll be Jack who gets, you know, the direction that's probably the best thing to do, and sometimes mm-hmm. it's me, sometimes it's my husband, sometimes mm-hmm. It's one of the girls, but it usually goes pretty smoothly in our household. Mm-hmm. We don't have too much resistance, but there are times when it can get more intense, where mm-hmm. there has to be a line drawn. Mm-hmm. If it seems that something is out of moderation or out of proportion, mm-hmm. that might either harm someone or mentally do something that we don't want to have happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, I mean, I think that the internal change making process is so individualized, you know what I mean? And I'm now feeling sensitive to, you know, to kids who go to a multitude of households, you know, where there's one way of being in one household, and then it almost potentially like the exact opposite way of being in another one. And I know, you know, early on, as my kids were visiting with me and then visiting with their mom, like that was where there was a lot of like confusion. I don't even want to call it tension, but it was just like they didn't really get to a point of flow where they knew, where one way of being stopped and one way of being began again. And so, and I'm noticing that my kids actually want to curse more around me, because they think I'm more accepting of it. And so I'm just, I may be changing my mind around some of what they've grown accustomed to doing around me. And so it's just a very interesting process. And, a few weeks ago, my kids were watching a show that their mom wouldn't want them to watch. And they tried to watch it with me. And then I learned that she didn't approve of it. And I'm like, I just upheld her, her philosophy, for the rest of the week when they were with me. And they were kind of shocked by that. And so I guess I bring up this topic because it's just, as parents learn more, I think our kids, need to understand that we have their best interests in mind, but we might not all be as informed as we in the Game Changer movement are, So I feel like our first opportunity in this world is to inform and educate and to raise the level of awareness, which is why I just wanted to just have a topic of conversation just generally about how, are we allowed to change our minds as parents? Like, what is it, is there an expectation that I am who I was when they were 10, now that they're 15, and what is the process for me changing my mind? I myself as a parent, I made this pledge as early as when my eldest daughter was still, in her mommy's belly. And I tried to promise that I will never say because I said so. I will always try to say because I love you, and I feel like that's the energy of the Game Changer movement, is because I love you, because I love these kids, and because, we as parents and youth, we want the best for each other. And so, and one of the ways that I was cautioned recently is like, just whatever you do, don't make parents feel wrong, and I've heard that loud and clear because, we haven't been given the full story, the game, we don't, and it's sort of like 20 or 30 years ago, when smoking was first becoming cool, right? I asked my mom, who quit smoking cold turkey when she got pneumonia. And I said, well, why did you start smoking in the first place? And she said, well, we didn't know it was bad for you. And so like those words, for me, I never got it. I never understood why you would light something on fire and then inhale it. I just didn't, it just didn't make sense to me. And, I lost 2 relatives to lung cancer right around age 12 and 13 when I may have been curious. But I think the same energy is present in the violent video game realm, is we're still in this zone of, we don't know for sure that it's bad for you. And, it takes sort of stubborn people like me who know in my heart of hearts that it's bad for me, or bad for my kids. And now I'm willing to diligently do the research so that we can help raise the awareness level. And on the flip side, invest our energy in the alternatives. And I think that's the real opportunity with the Game Changer movement. And, we understand that in order to make change, we need to first, create awareness and elevate that, the understanding of the whole situation. So, I know that when we were together in Europe, seeing places that we sort of know that the pendulum has been swinging in favor of allowing terrorism and fear to guide our behavior. And so, you know, my prayer and wish for the world is for, in a way, to clean up the digital space, you know, because there's so much of like this element that's being reinforced, you know, and like, it's just every conversation I get into when someone talks about like, I don't know why the attacks on Paris happened, you know, and I don't scratch my head about that. I totally understand. Like we are reinforcing violence every day, especially in the games that our kids are playing. So like that is sort of like, you know, when people are experiencing angst, like that's sometimes like just one of the outlets that people just, you know, consider a real option. And so yeah, I mean, that's why I think it's so important to talk about how we change our minds. And I guess that's what I also want to just follow up with you is like, does someone need to present data, or like, you know, is it emotions, or like, you know, within your household, you know, does someone need to like, you know, show a journal article, or like, you know, I'm really being serious. Like, is there a need for information, you know, or?
Well, to me, it's obvious that this is not in alignment with the highest good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, luckily, my husband was able to be very clear about it and absolutely prohibit any violence. You know,
right.
Jack was really lucky. We had other games. We had the Wii, and, you know, they did fun things. They went outside and did other things. And there was no question he just could not have those kind of games. And for myself, I see it now. I see it more because I'm inclined to be someone who would enable and let someone try it, at least try it. And
sure.
Luckily, my husband overruled me, and it didn't happen. And now I see the beauty in that, because that would have been a lot more time on the violent mode than he's ever had now, you know. So, but he's a good kid.
Yeah,
it's a fine line. We don't need to be spoon fed this stuff anymore. We can decide we want something else than what they're giving us. Right.
Well, I mean that is really true, and I'm so excited. I mean, this weekend, you know, just with all the kind of groundswell of energy, just every day it just feels closer and closer. I mean, you know, yesterday I got to spend 2 hours talking with a game designer who, you know, he wants to just contribute his time. You know, he's the veteran who is, you know, he's seen, you know, real world, real time violence, and he knows that it's time to celebrate and create the alternatives. And so I'm so grateful that all the right people are now being attracted to this movement. And like, the more visible we get and the more information we learn, the more we're going to be looked at as the hub for how change happens. So I feel like it's just important to figure out, you know, household by household, you know, how it is that parents get to change their mind, you know. And I don't think it's a small question. I think it's a work in progress. And I know that I go into patterned behavior until I hit a certain threshold of either just inner knowing, or until I read something or hear something that says, oh wait, I can do differently. And you know, I know it's getting like to be 10 o'clock your time, but I realize that I'm changing my behavior, you know, based on my time with you in terms of how I purchase, you know, foods and other consumables, because now I'm sensitized or resensitized to packaging, and I have new lenses, and so, you know, that's going to impact the things that I buy for my kids, you know, and the toys and the trinkets and all these other things. And so they're going to see a change in me, as inspired by you, and my awareness increased because of our time together. And so that's why I'm just excited that the Game Changer movement is not just about, violent video games. It's about, just looking at everything from every category where change is possible, and breaking it down and building it back up again, and saying, okay, like, some people need information that is like, verified by science. Some people just trust their gut. Some people need something in the middle. And it's our job to be, the suppliers and the educators and the, system developers, so that change can happen. So I appreciate you, Carol, for opening my lenses to more conscious choices, and I feel like we haven't even talked about the packaging that wraps the violent video games up, and so maybe it's time to even engage. I mean, I'm excited because some of the art that we make, we actually incorporate the packaging, into the art. But like you said, like, if they didn't make it in the first place, it would be better, and so I feel like, I'd just love to close with like knowing that it's getting better, and that we are in this transition generation. Like, we are, it's almost like Martin Luther King Jr. didn't know that, he knew that there was going to be a Black president, but he didn't necessarily know that it was going to happen in his lifetime. But he was part of the energy that made Obama happen. And so whatever change we make along the way, we're making it, we're doing it. Like, whatever contribution the Game Changer movement is making towards the end outcomes that we may or may not visualize or see within our own generations, we know that we're on the change making process. And I feel like that's, full circle. This car accident like has just emboldened me. I'm just like, whenever I am with my kids, I'm so much more present, and I'm so much more grateful. And we had the accident on Thursday, and then on Friday we were, at the same intersection where it happened, and we transformed that experience. And I feel like it's just such a huge metaphor now. Like, we get to talk and just be present with each other, and determine, like, are we going to pause a little bit longer? Are we going to wait a little bit longer at this stop sign just to make sure it feels right? And, and maybe that's the analogy for the gaming world and for all these other choices we make. Like, are we going to pause? Is there, a long enough pause before we allow our kids to make decisions for us? Or, however it works, it's just like, are we going to employ a different process for making change, and starting it at the family level, and then allowing it to radiate, globally? Because I believe that that's how global change happens, one household at a time. And, you're helping me know that, like, quantum shifts can happen too, so, so yeah,
blab.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is, it's just like, yeah. And I mean, maybe that's where we go next week, if the stars align and we get to meet in that way. So thank you. I mean, are there any more like parting words that you want to share, or you want to get to bed, or what's your?
No, I'm just excited because it is, people are waking up, and we are creating the shift. And I think it's a lot about education. And if we can get anyone educated who's interested, we would be happy to come up with some facts for you in all realms regarding plastics or the games or whatever. And I'm happy to engage with anyone, and happy for this platform. And I thank you. And I'll be happy to see you next week.
Yay! Well, sounds great. Well, thank you so much for for joining in, and all of you, who joined us. Please feel free to reach out, and we will eventually turn this recording into a YouTube and put it on the Game Changer Facebook page. And so you're all part of the Game Changer movement history if you joined us today. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Alrighty, bye-bye.